This is the F1000 podcast, and we're going to bet $1,000 on tomorrow's Australian Grand Prix. Let's go. All right, Mike, good morning. Full disclosure, I went out last night, and we had a snowstorm, so I did not get home until 3 o'clock in the morning. I watched the qualifying in the Uber. I'm on a couple of hours of sleep, but here we go, buddy. We got money to make. How you feeling?
I think those conditions sound like that's good. Like that's good news for us. There's no way that can't play into our hands extremely, extremely beneficially. So I'm feeling good. It
can only help.
It can only help. Yeah, I can. That's just you're gonna cut through all the bullshit when you feel like that, right?
I hope so. Get the blinders on and just stay focused. Stay locked in.
We're gonna find some value. I think we already have. I feel like the benefit of a mixed up grid just because of Sergio Perez. He had a grid penalty coming out of qualifying, right? Yeah. So there could be some interesting aspects because of that in terms of what we see on the board. And then it was kind of a weird qualifying session just in general too, with like Leclerc abandoning his final push in Q3 and you losing another hot pick. I mean, my God, we're gonna have to talk about that, eh?
Well, when I bet on a qualifying session, can my guy at least go do his hot lap for once? I'm betting on data and race pace and qualifying pace, and then my guys just decide, no, not going to even try.
Yeah, but you should.
I don't even know what that was.
That's what you should be doing, though. You should be betting on guys to push on their hot lap. You're not thinking about it. You're thinking about you're right. 2 steps ahead. You got to be concerned yourself of, will this guy be in Q3? Okay, that's a good thing. And then is he gonna want to push at the end?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. I bet on Leclerc, the pole master. Tough. Just a tough break for me.
Just a big mistake.
Tough break for me. So Checo starts in 6th after his penalty. That's the actual grid. Am I looking at that right?
I should probably have the grid up in front of me.
I got that off the F1 website starting grid. So that's got to be after the penalty, right?
Yeah, if it's on the F1 website, then it'll be after the penalty.
So the grid's Max, Carlos, Lando, Charles, Oscar, Checo. Checo stays in the top 6. I'll tell you where my head's at in a very high level, broad sense. Okay. I think we've got even more of a divide in the pecking order this weekend because I don't trust Mercedes this weekend. I think they're so lost. And I think that it's Red Bull, then Ferrari, then McLaren, very clearly going to separate themselves.
Yeah.
They all start in the top 6. I mean, I don't know. Do we want to jump right into a line? Because I thought it was interesting for a McLaren both cars top 6 finish.
Okay, it'd be right away.
How do you feel about both cars?
Yeah, well, right away.
I know, that's what I wanted to pick your brain.
So Albert Park is not it's not like a street circuit in the sense that it's not Jeddah, right? But I'm not like super, super comfortable with taking. I mean, again, let's keep that maybe just on the back burner. I like where your head's at, and I think because of the clear divide in projected race pace between those top 3 teams and then the gap to the teams behind them.
Yeah.
It's a good bet. It's just, I kind of think that there's going to be some chaos, man. Like, think about how scruffy. Is
that just because of last year?
No, well, okay, fuck. I mean, last year
was
maybe
wild.
A little bit. Yeah, okay, a little bit though. And the conditions they're not like totally. There's rain, I think, during the practice sessions leading up to the race and all that. So the track was a lot greener. This is like Albert Park really rubbers in, right? Like it takes there's a high degree of track evolution here.
It doesn't get used a lot, but then they bring all the feeder series with them. So it really, you're right. It really does evolve.
Yeah. I just, let's keep that on the back burner. I don't want to commit to even a 2-car bet at this point. I mean, if we really can't find value, then sure, let's talk more about it. But
I skimmed through the book a little bit and I didn't see a lot of value, but let's see. Do you have anything that you want to jump into to at least maybe help guide the early part of our conversation here?
Well, let's look at the team matchups. Like, let's start with that.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. Let's see if we can find. I'm sure based on the starting grid that it could be interesting, maybe in some way, but
yeah. So Ferrari versus McLaren. Ferrari's favored, minus 300.
Yeah, which I'm
Let's talk about signs, actually.
Okay.
So he's so impressive this weekend.
Yeah.
Coming off the appendix, he only had what 2 weeks. The fact that he jumped in the car, he was leading all of the qualifying sessions. I mean, Max gets him right at the end, but Carlos is on it way more than I expected. I thought he was going to struggle because he's recovering off of a surgery. Do you think that hits him over the course of a full Grand Prix tomorrow? Or do we trust him that he's just fast and he's going to stay up there?
I no. My gut instinct is to say, you know, doing the practice sessions and they're 1 hour sessions and you're taking a break from the G force on your body and he's not having to push constantly. I mean, I think over the course of like a full race that he's gonna make a mistake, I guess is my concern.
Especially, I don't know if this makes sense or not, but when he
Yeah.
has to defend like a qualifying lap, he's on the racing line. He can almost prepare where
Yeah.
his body, where he's going to feel the G's. He can clench a little early. You start
Yeah.
defending against Lando, you're diving down the inside. All of a sudden, it's a ooh, I didn't really expect that one.
Yeah, like it's just another distraction and what I think is gonna be like a pretty big battle between him and his teammate and then obviously Checo behind, right? It's just I don't know. Like I don't see I don't want to like fade him, right? Because he'll probably burn us. But
Well, yeah,
he in starting in P2, I'm not afraid to. I guess I'm not afraid to pick on him in some way, but it has to be the right bet. I think we'll have to find something. This there's nothing here with these matchups though with
no,
Ferrari and McLaren or
no. Well, that's
right.
where, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't like the Ferrari at 300, but if we thought Lando might get him, I mean that's a
I would
great
I
possibility.
would still be I think I'm still worried about Leclerc over Lando to be completely honest.
And I do think the Ferrari is the number 2 car, like
No, I agree with that. I think that there's
with a gap.
yeah, I agree with that too, for sure.
Okay. McLaren versus Mercedes again. Like I'm hard on the McLaren over the
Yeah,
Mercedes this week,
I
but
don't
no value.
no minus 350. I mean, this is a track that suits their the traits, the inherent traits of their car even more,
Hmm.
right? So it's not a surprise that this gap is widened because Mercedes is just wandering around in the wilderness right now.
Do you like
So
Mercedes over Aston?
I
This
mean,
is a
no,
matchup that maybe is up for play in this race. But do
come
we
on.
want to pick the
Okay,
winner?
so
So
well,
George is
this is
7, Yuki's 8, and then both Astons, and then Lewis.
yeah. I mean, I like Aston Martin more than Mercedes, technically.
I It's a bit of a toss up for me because I wouldn't be surprised. George Russell is going to finish the race in
No,
7th.
I wouldn't be able to. I don't think I could.
Right.
I don't know if I could pick this one apart. That's an okay. That we might be able to. So first of all, what's the deal with Alonso's car? Like, does he have to? Did they have to change the floor on it after what happened in Q3 to him? Like what?
I don't know.
Alonso floor. I don't know, man.
Let's see what Albert is saying.
Yeah. What is everybody saying? I thought that there was an issue there. Like that would be a bit of a wrinkle in all of this, but I don't know. And then Red Bull, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren. I mean, there's not a lot of. So the one, yeah, I guess like if you're gonna find something there, you gotta choose between Mercedes and Aston Martin.
That's the toss up choice.
Yeah,
But I do think it's Mercedes then Aston Martin in
I do
terms of
think so
race
too.
pace. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they,
And George starts ahead.
yeah, and it's a track position track, right?
Hmm.
Right. It's a track position
Minus
track.
175.
It's just like
We have
can
Lance
Lance
and
Stroll?
Yuki starting beside each other.
I know that's chaos, buddy. Like that's there's no way something doesn't happen there,
No.
right?
Okay, I'm going to jump around here
Okay.
real quick
No, yeah. Keep
because
going. Keep going. Keep jumping around. That's
I want
that's
to jump into the groups.
that's interesting.
We'll skip through. I mean, group 1, Max wins. Where was the group here? Group 3. Is this a better way? Like, is this just way more likely that Fernando at minus 250 just obviously beats this group?
Probably.
He starts behind Lance and Yuki, for what it's worth.
No,
Albon
yeah.
starts in 12th. Alonso's 10th. Barring Alonso crashing, and maybe we should figure out if he has an issue that's going to cause him to take new parts and drop. But
Yeah.
barring something like that, he wins this group.
Yeah,
Slightly outside our window.
I don't love it at minus 250. But
Slightly outside our window.
Yeah, there might not be a lot of value.
Okay.
Why is Bottas? What's the deal down there? Bottas is 13. Magnussen is 14. Hulkenberg is 16. I mean, things we know, we know things tend to work out for the Haas here, right?
Yeah, but which Haas?
I know. Which Haas?
Okay.
I kind of.
You like that group? You want me to stay in there? Who do
Um,
you like?
I like either Magnussen or Hulkenberg. Like I might like Magnussen to like maybe they
just flip it.
maybe he fights and like I haven't seen anything from the Sauber in race trim. I mean like they can't even get their act together in the pit lane. There's a 50% chance that Bottas they can't
Right.
get the wheel.
He just has a 40-second pit stop.
Yeah, like they are literally a mess right now. That 100% investment from Audi can't come soon enough, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
This is nuts.
I don't love it.
I know you don't love it.
No, I really don't love it.
No.
I'd rather be on both McLarens.
Fair. Okay. Well, take me through.
You take me. I got no more notes, bud. I just woke up.
Okay, so
Actually, no, I have one more. It was both Red Bull podium before I realized Checo got the penalty.
well, it's still not a bad bet. What do we have that at?
Minus 188.
Okay, well, I think we have to note that down. I mean, I would probably rather. I also said this to you yesterday when we were chatting, but I don't just because of how kind of scruffy it's been, and I don't love taking Checo. Okay, so help me digest this because I was trying to figure out my guy Mark Hughes. He wrote this really great article about how the soft tire was really the tire that was kind of the C5 was kind of it looked like it was catching everybody out all essentially over the course of all the practice sessions and qualifying.
I think it was colder than expected and they were having a hard time turning them on.
They were having a really hard time turning it on. So what's the deal for what do we have for the conditions for the race? Weather Australian GP.
Checo was talking about after qualifying that DEG was going to be a big issue.
He thinks DEG's going to be a big issue, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So then they'll probably just run a medium hard one stopper, right? Like Red Bull can do that, right? They have a. This is just helping me justify taking Checo to go through the field, like
all the way up to the podium.
If he takes his time, which I think he's doing now. I think that mentality has changed where he's not trying to rush to the front so that he can beat Max. Like he knows.
I was just because he's not trying to win the race.
Right. Exactly. The biggest question mark lies with the race itself. Forecast predicts a partly cloudy day with light rain, 70-degree temperature.
What's Checo alone? Just him to get on the podium. $250. No.
Yeah, there's not. I mean, what's just P2? I mean, I know I took Leclerc P2, but that was before the guy just abandoned his quality session.
Oh, without Max? Well, there's a few ways to go P2.
Yeah, well, I'm talking exactly P2 because that'll be the best value.
$137.
Okay, that's plus money.
Instead of both of them on the podium.
Instead of both of them on the podium. I mean, if he's going to be like, is Sainz going to?
Here's what I like about that. To talk myself into it, I think Lando and Sainz fight each other. Like I think this very like the fact that Checo's so far back and Leclerc is in fourth. I think Max runs away with it at the start.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of squabbling between Charles trying to get past and he can't get past Carlos and he's complaining, guys, I'm faster and blah, blah, blah. Oscar's there. Like, I think everyone gets backed in to Checo.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think people
There's
get
no
back
there's
into
no
Checo.
Leclerc running away with Max where Checo comes through the field but ends up in the podium instead of P2. Like, I think when Checo comes through, that whole group is there for the taking. He might get
Yeah,
a quadruple bubble.
I agree with that. He also might be deep enough. Again, we kind of talked about it. Is it a two stopper with softs and mediums, like soft, medium, medium? Is it hard and medium? Is he like immediately on a bit of a different strategy because of how? And if they're worried about Dag,
You know what? I bet he's not. I bet
you
you they
don't think
keep
so?
him
Like they're
on what
so
if
good.
everyone's on
Like
softs, let him
yeah,
get 2 places off the start. That'll help his race and then
yeah.
settle in.
I don't want him to get two places off the start. I don't want him diving in on guys at the beginning.
No, but if you
You know what I mean?
responsibly on the right set of tires where you're on the same compound or softer, ideally.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, so this is what we do is about getting as much value as we can. So
Yeah,
he takes a penalty, you get plus money for him to come in second. It's just like we have to we have to consider it. This whole time, something in the back of my mind has been screaming like, you might want to avoid Checo on this race. And like
mm.
he takes his penalty, but maybe he's already taken his penalty in quali, and now we can extract the value out of it.
We already avoided Checo because we had nothing involving him getting a penalty to screw us.
True, like in our hot picks with quali.
Right.
Maybe that's the way to look at it.
I actually kind of like that. And
Plus
again, we're
137.
getting its value because he's in sixth.
Yeah,
We'd be
I mean, like it
stupid
wouldn't.
not to do something with Checo
Yeah,
just because he's in sixth in the best car.
like if he okay, so this is one of these bets where if he if something happens to him, you're like, well, it is what it is. We got the bet at plus 137. Like when something happens
Right.
to a driver at minus 250, I'm fucking pissed, right? Like it makes sense
Right.
because you just threw away all that value only to lose your money anyway on something you can't control. If the guy in the fastest car with I think a decent pace margin over Ferrari and a guy who just had appendicitis can't finish in second, I mean, I'm going to put it on Checo just shit in the bed. But
Yeah.
I don't see a reason why he wouldn't be able to with this new mentality, the new Checo.
I
Like
agree.
the new Checo might
Because
just
he's not trying to catch Max.
it might just it all might just come to him, like you said. The whole pack might just come to him,
I think they will.
and I
And he'll
think they
be
have
able
so
to just
much.
sit there and save his tires and just do it
Yeah.
5 laps in a row on
Well,
DRS.
again, because of how good the Red Bull is at managing his tires, they have just infinite possibilities for strategy sitting where he
Yeah.
is. Right? They can do anything. Right? Okay.
This is
Well, that
crazy.
one's
Winning margin over 10 seconds, minus 225.
yeah, that's insane.
This to me for a number of reasons. I don't think we can take it at this line because
No.
anything can happen. Late safety car, a late red flag that finishes under safety car can
Look what
happen.
happened.
So
Yeah, look what happened last
let's
year.
not
Here.
take it. But we've talked before about a race that has tire dag. Max increases his gap to the field, and especially
Yeah.
over Checo. So like Max is going to run away with this race.
Oh,
Everyone else is going to sit there, and Checo, it's going to be easy taken. I think I like the Checo P2. It's getting a
yeah.
star for right now.
Is there one leader? Like does Max build a
Ooh.
massive gap?
He let the Mercedes lead after in the first lap last year. Right? Mercedes came out of the first corner 1-2 last year.
Yeah. Yeah, but a sign like do you think that's they actually pushed him though? Like a sign's gonna be able
Is
to push
Sainz,
him into one?
do you think he's looking ahead?
To turn one? Well,
I
because
think
it's such
Ferrari thinks they can win races.
yeah. Well, it's such a track position race that I think like you probably do you want to get it immediately, right?
And then he thinks he can defend
Look at that
Verstappen
minus 120.
for 1 liter.
Man, I'm
Well,
kind of
dude, if you're gonna do that, then just go on like the Grand Slam or something, or
why
to lead and win.
to
We
to
can
lead and
find.
win.
Do you remember what that line was? I forget.
That was minus 120.
Okay,
But
minus
okay,
120. So
yeah,
let's
I see.
go.
Yeah, to lead after lap. These
I
are going
didn't
to
put
be
anything there.
yeah. Oh, you just disappeared.
Hit reset. Yeah.
Yeah, these are going to be horrible lines, by the way. But
Where's the and win?
Lead after lap and win race.
I found it. Yeah, they're
Oh,
horrible.
these are horrible. They're all like in the minus 400s, right? Yeah, okay. So that's not
But
it.
that isn't that effectively what that is? 1 liter?
I, yeah. No,
Yeah.
because leading after lap, this is like
But that's
theoretically before the
Max
pit.
is leading every lap anyways.
This is before the pit window, though. That's why, right? Like you're saying this is like, but I get what you're saying.
Right.
I think what you're saying is you're just like, wow, minus 120 is the same thing as that. And we
Right,
get it at minus
exactly.
120 versus minus 400.
Because Max is the only one that can be the only leader. Like no one else can do that. He's
Yeah.
he's literally number 1 on the grid. Literally.
Yeah.
So
if he doesn't, yeah,
if minus 120 hits, he led every lap and won the race.
okay, so let's mark that down. I mean,
It was minus 120.
it was
One
minus
race
120.
leader.
One race later.
That's interesting. It is more. I mean, it's a bit of an ancillary bet, kind of a weeds bet,
Kind of a weeds bet, yeah.
but I think it's very likely.
I think it's very likely too.
Remember, too, Carlos can get him in turn 1. It's the end of the lap,
Yeah.
so Max just gets him on the straight.
Plus 27, plus 130. So that Checo.
What are you looking at?
Just I'm like trying to think about. I just went back to that Checo bet because I'm looking at now. I'm just thinking about the podium. That so top 2 finishes plus 130, but we clocked him at plus 187 to finish second. Plus 137.
137.
Okay. So don't do to finish second. Do top 2 finish.
The top 2 again.
Yeah, because it's only 7 points, and you like theoretically if something happens to Max, then you.
So what is it? Plus 130.
It's plus 130. Yeah.
I should get okay. Top 2.
And we should probably mark down plus 350 for Leclerc to finish third. Like what? Plus 350, Chaps.
I don't love it, man.
Why?
I loved it last week because Sainz wasn't there. Sainz is here, and he's been the better driver this weekend.
Yeah, but do we like again? This is
I don't
better driver.
Okay.
So
I don't
let's
want
talk
to
about
bet.
this.
I don't want to make a bet on his appendicitis having an effect.
No. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that he like Leclerc was fastest in Q2, and theoretically could have qualified him, but had that ban in that final lap. And I get it. He was saying that he was fighting it a little bit. I don't love on a position track, second and fifth, but man, plus 350 for the guy who's finished in third at the first 2 races is good value, right? Like that's just a good value bet. It's not like he can't end up there. He could easily end up there. There's a million different reasons why he could.
Yeah.
Right? I just like that's a lot of value. Plus 350, man.
Yeah, that's a flyer though. It's like a coin toss. Like it's great. You're right. It's great value for really. It's comes down to him and Carlos.
Yeah.
Right. So you're getting plus 350 on something, but do I like plus 200 on Carlos instead? Which is also a great line, and he starts there.
He doesn't start there. He starts ahead of it, but
that's what I mean. Well,
no, okay.
Checo's
we're saying Checo comes through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we can't come to a conclusion on that. That's fine.
Maybe we'll get there, but
maybe
you understand why last week I loved Leclerc P3 because the whole thing was Sainz wasn't there.
I do.
And now we have Sainz there and ahead of him.
Yeah.
And he looks good.
Okay, what about this though? Minus 175 for Oscar to stay in the top 6?
Okay, we're looking at individuals because I'd like both McLarens up in that top 6. I think this race,
I know you do.
Like, of course, anyone can crash into someone. Like, who knows? But this race finishes with both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, and both McLarens filling out that top 6.
Yeah,
and I think probably in order: RB, Sainz, Leclerc, Piastri, Lando. Yeah, you heard me.
Yeah, I heard you.
You heard me.
I heard you.
But
that's pretty. Like minus 175 is pretty. Like I think that Oscar. I think he's a stud. I think he's gonna have a great race in front of the hometown fans. I mean,
I do too. He had such a shit box when he came last year, and he is a stud. He's used to winning everywhere he goes.
I know.
And he's finally got a car.
Again, this is a position track where he's got 2 positions to play with.
Yep.
And like whatever, like Checo's going to get him, but like, do we really think that George is that big of a threat to him? Uh, we just saw this.
I don't.
No, I don't either. I mean, like, I don't. I think that the gap that we saw in Jeddah, it still exists. It exists at the same degree here.
Hmm.
It might exist. It might be a bigger gap here. Like, this is a track that probably suits because the DRS zones are a little bit shorter here.
Yeah,
Like, that suits the McLarens a little bit better, don't you think? I think Stella was saying
I
something like that.
I agree. I think that in hindsight, the fight between Mercedes and McLaren in Saudi appeared closer than it actually is
Because
because
of
it was evened out only
yeah,
because of Merck's straight line speed, but they
yeah.
ran half the rear wing that everyone else ran.
I know.
So
And
you put equal or closer to equal, which I think they do have to bring a heavier rear wing this weekend, Mercedes. So I think they've lost a little bit of that straight line speed that balanced them out, which moves it even more into McLaren's direction.
yeah.
I like it. Dude, this is minus 175 for him to stay in position. And they were what, minus 250 to just be ahead of the Mercedes, which is effectively the same thing.
Yeah.
Who else is going to go into that top six if it's not the Merc? Oh, no, because you get Lando way up there.
Oh,
Never
you get
mind.
Lando Whip. That's right. Yeah, he's starting
Never
three,
mind.
right? Yeah,
Never
yeah,
mind.
yeah. Oh, no, no.
Okay, I do like that, though. You're fishing. I like it.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm completely fine to be on Oscar. I guess is the
I
other
love
perspective on
Oscar.
things. I love him, so
Yeah.
I'm happy to be on him. I have no problems with being on him at minus 175 too. I think that's pretty.
It's too bad because we loved Oscar from the start. Just the McLaren sucked. If they had a
Yeah,
decent car, we could have made some good money on a rookie to just prove everyone wrong last year.
yeah.
But he didn't have the car to do it. And now everyone knows he's good. So
So
what's the
I'm looking at the race match bets just to get a sense of like where the book
okay.
sees the. So first thing that comes that I think is interesting
Well,
right
here,
away.
I'll go there with you.
Yeah, race match bets. So you see even odds on Leclerc to
I
finish
saw
ahead
it.
of Sainz. Yeah, minus 120. So all of a sudden, obviously that plus 350 bet, you get like that's the 150 points of value there on even odds essentially for them to
That
finish
is
ahead
a
of each
good
other,
point.
right? Come
We
on,
might have to take that 350 bet just because
just like
it's
just
free.
because
It's such a free,
it's huge. They should be
yeah,
even odds for
like
third
free
place
odds for
theoretically.
us. You're right.
I can see. Man, again, if Science finishes in third, like it depends on what we
Well,
the
no,
bet what we
well,
bet on it is the real question. Like how much would we bet on it is the question ultimately in the end.
right. It's also a lot longer because you have Lando there mucking about that. I don't know. Maybe they think that Lando could get P3.
They might.
I don't.
I don't
I
think
think
that
with
Lando can get
Checo and
P3.
then those Ferraris are still faster. I think that the podium's two Red Bulls and a Ferrari.
I think that too. Like I don't know if Leclerc is gonna get. He's not gonna get stuck though. He's not gonna get stuck in fifth. Like I just can't.
He starts in fourth.
Fourth, sorry. He's not gonna get
Yeah.
stuck in. He's not gonna get stuck in fourth. He's gonna
Well,
get one position to get
I
like so.
could see him
Checo.
getting stuck in fourth. If Carlos and Lando start battling, Leclerc's just going to sit there complaining on the radio.
No, but if Carlos and Lando start like that's, I guess that's
He's not
what
going
I
to
think.
overtake them both. Is my point. He's going to sit there and watch it.
No, but that's where I think he ends up in front of. I think this is the whole Carlos and Lando battle, like we talked about, that
And then it
gives
becomes a
Checo a
tire
big
delta.
advantage,
Yeah.
and then becomes a tire delta. And Leclerc,
Yeah.
he gets the pass essentially. They're gonna fight each other, obviously, because they're insane, right?
Or he's the one that fights
Man,
Lando.
like this is gonna be
If he gets the jump on Lando off
yeah.
the
I think so. Unless Carlos takes it away from Max in turn one, which I mean that'd be sick if he does it, but I don't know.
But
if he's
even
got it in
then,
him.
that leads me into Leclerc because now Carlos is going to defend like crazy, kill his tires, and then Leclerc is going to come through at the end.
Yeah, that might be way worse if he does that, right?
Yeah. Charles battling Lando. That would be worst case scenario for him, for us.
Charles battling Lando would be worst case, yeah.
Which he could, right? He goes and gets him right off the line, and then they fight and they swap places for the first lap, and then all of a sudden Max is 2 seconds up, Carlos has a second and a half, and then it starts to settle in. I mean, you can feel my hesitation to not pick between the Ferraris. That is what it is.
Yeah, that's fine. I get that. Doesn't mean that we have to. Like, we'll keep looking here. I get it. I thought it was interesting that it is even odds with,
That's very interesting.
right? Do you see? I mean, this is a crazy thing to say, but it's not even it's not crazy. So Lewis in 11th, George in 7th. Like Lewis at plus 20, plus 225
For what?
to finish ahead of George.
Oh, and
in a match bet. Like, do you have any read on that? Like, so what I found interesting is when you really dove into the qualifying performance, they were essentially the exact same.
they were a 10th, yeah. And
Right?
Lewis had a moment that cost him a 10th.
Yeah, and he was saying like that the whole setup. I'm assuming it's a ride height from a setup perspective because he said he was really struggling with the wind. So it looks like there's going to be less. I was just trying to find out the forecast. It looks like there's going to be a little bit less wind during the race compared to the rest of the weekend. That might just give Lewis the confidence that he needs to start attacking a little bit more. And if that's the case, then maybe he is able to get George. I mean, I'm just like, it's plus 220. That's a Lewis over George at plus 225 is huge. Not that the current situation would seem to favor that. Like he hasn't been able to qualify him, I think, in the last like 3 or 4 races, actually, going back to last year.
Well, George has also been doing all right in the races, though, too.
He has been. Yeah, he has been. I can see Lewis just being like he can't, like he just on the radio being like, I can't get anything else out of the car, guys, like type of thing. I know that that's a real possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I just like the line. I'm not chasing it.
I know.
Plus 225.
I feel like you are being old chaps from last year, loving a line, and it's a coin toss between teammates, and it's like let's try to be on the one. Does that make sense? Like these are the types of things that I would have come last year really pitching. Like, hey, it's Lewis. I know he starts behind. It's a coin toss, but we're getting plus money on it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But I do like that old chaps is still in me.
I like. It's just a battle. You don't have to worry about the rest of the field. Like if we think that there's going to be some chaos ahead too, because that's a pretty interesting group ahead of Lewis, right? Like he might be able to get those positions relatively quickly.
What group are they in?
No, not the group.
No, I know, but what group are they in?
Oh, I can't remember. We'll have to go back and look. Let's see.
Just to see if there's a better line.
Yeah, that's interesting too. I don't think so.
Well, no, because you have the McLarens in there. Does Austin? What was the matchup for Oscar versus Lando?
Plus 225. Same thing. It was actually the same line, I think.
But you can get a plus 400 here.
In that group? What's that group? Sorry, I'm on a different screen here.
Both McLarens and both Mercedes. But Oscar's plus 400. Lando's minus 225.
I mean, that's an interesting. So the only hesitation I have with this is that Checo comment of it. He's talking about a track that I don't think normally is really known for causing a lot of dag. Like, I guess for whatever reason, they're seeing it with the compounds that were brought this weekend. I guess, well, they're seeing it because they brought softer compounds than they normally do, right?
Right.
They brought the C3 to the C5.
Softer than last year.
Yeah, and softer than last. Usually, I think or previously, it's been the C2 to C4.
Yeah.
So if it becomes more about tire management, I haven't seen enough from Oscar to.
I don't know if I rate Lando as a better tire manager than Oscar.
Well, that's the craziest take I've ever heard. What are you talking about?
He's recently?
Yeah. What? He's way better. Lando is probably actually, to give the guy credit.
I don't know. I haven't slept much. Maybe that was a wild.
That's an insane take.
Way off. Really?
Like I would say that's the one thing that Oscar probably just like hasn't quite
you're right.
together
I think
yet.
actually talked about that.
We definitely
come on, get it together.
And Lando is just like he's kind of like a savant with the tires, and that could how much of this race is going to be about Dag though? I guess is the biggest question. I mean, I'm trying to find when did you see Checo make that comment anyway? Did he make it after quali?
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting comment. I haven't really seen that be
It
talked
was
about this weekend.
it was less about him talking strategy and more about the fact that they brought softer compounds. He's like, yeah, the softs, they were struggling. I think it's going to be more about DAG. We got to figure it out type thing.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So it's not
No, it
necessarily
wasn't
that
like,
all of
oh,
a
yeah, we
sudden,
can stretch a one stop.
yeah,
We're
all
not
of a
trying to
sudden
figure it out.
everybody's on a 2-stop because the tires are falling apart type of thing. It's not like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I do think that means Max runs away with it. There's just no way to get value on Max these days.
No, there is no value.
What about
Well,
combo
there's not no value. The one leader is actually interesting value on Max, right?
That actually,
That's not.
yeah,
It's not.
you're
It's
right.
actually.
That
It
actually
is.
is interesting.
It is somehow. Because I'm looking at finishing position quickly. Okay, maybe just take us through finishing position. Let's just like because that
Plural
finishing
or
position.
no?
Oh no, singular. You go back up. It's on the left hand side, just above
You see
virtual
it,
safety
yeah.
car.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay, take us through. So like, let's just like look at this. How does this make us feel? This is always an interesting take.
Okay, it's always interesting. You want to just go one by one? Signs.
So signs like second or third is interesting. Okay, second or third,
Yeah.
right? Leclerc.
Leclerc.
Look at that though, eh? Leclerc. This is
Second,
hilarious.
third, or fourth.
No, like second or fourth ahead of third. What? That's so weird.
And you want to take him P3?
I don't know why that's plus 350. That's so weird, man. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, why?
Why would that be the case? Lando fourth or fifth.
Why would
Max
that be the
first.
case?
Checo a plus 140 to come in second, but we get him a plus 130 for top two.
That's it. They only give
Like
you the top guys.
Yeah, I agree with you being hesitant to try to pick between the Ferraris. Okay, so right now we're looking at we like.
I just think they're both really good.
We like one leader. We like Piastri. We like Checo. Like those are interesting bets, right? I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not
We
opposed
have those
to those.
three.
Those are interesting bets for sure.
Yeah, we don't want the both McLaren. I think Oscar's a sharper way to take that.
I think so. It's the same thing, right? Okay, I'm gonna go look at
Is there
favorite
did you
combo
go through
podium.
points? Yeah, okay, let's go combo podium. I want to check out points finish too. Although
Yeah,
they
we'll look
never give you value on someone like Lewis to just sneak in.
No,
Albon?
Actually, Yuki and Albon were the only ones that I kind of.
Did you? Okay, well
I
here,
kinda
let's go there.
liked.
Let's go there because I know where
Fine.
that is.
Yeah, I don't know if like those are hard bets to make though, man.
They are.
Just because we know how.
Oh my god, Lewis is minus 700.
For points,
Yuki and Albon.
those are the two, right? And Yuki, okay, so
But there might not be room for those two.
that's the only problem, though, right? If everybody stays in the race, not that I think everybody is going to stay. Well, okay, where do they land with that? Actually, we always need to
Yeah,
figure that out.
yeah.
Yeah, right. Safety car period is minus 300. Okay. Oh, baby, minus 300 for safety car. It's not like minus
Okay.
600 like last week, but
This website is so frustrating where it lets me scroll and where it doesn't. For the people watching, me struggle.
yeah, we'll have to send an email.
I'll let them know. Yeah.
Yeah, you let them know.
What are we're looking for like number of classifieds, right?
Yeah, number of classified.
Number of race leaders.
To be classified.
Total
Finishing
classified
position.
drivers.
Total classified drivers. You have that one? Yeah. What do we got?
So where do we break even here? 17.
That's kind of typical.
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical for them to say 2 or 3 come out.
Yeah.
Or yeah.
So you get Lance, and then
You get Lance and Yuki right off the start.
Like that Albon one actually. I mean, if he can fucking keep it on the track and not screw us, it'd be hilarious to be back on him.
That would be hilarious. And he's already crashed in the same corner that he screwed us on last year. But has he got that out of the way?
That's what I'm thinking.
Is that kind of like Checo?
Is that an insane thing? Is that an insane take? Like, what is he? Okay, so hold on.
If
like
there's only going to be 4 races where someone gets a point that's not those top 5 teams,
yeah,
should we just be on it when it happens? And when he kicks, he makes his teammate a healthy scratch. Get back in the gym, Logan.
Yeah, I
I'm
guess
taking your car. I'm going to put it in the points.
because that would be great. Like that'd be such a good storyline. And I think if cars
Yeah.
like so, this is one of these bets where you go, it's likely that cars are going to come out,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, there are going to be more than like one of those positions or multiple of those positions open up. Is the right car to be on Alex Albon and the Williams? I mean, I do. Again, I liked how he didn't
I
have
already
the
know
same
where
weekend
you're
he had
going with
last year.
this.
What do you mean?
Are you going all the way down to Magnussen?
Well, no, actually, you're right. I would. I should. I should do that.
When you said is
Yeah,
the
but I would
Williams
just.
the right
I
car?
would. I would just pick. No, no, no. You don't have to worry. But I would pick Magnussen just to finish ahead
Wait,
of Bottas.
oh, this
That's
is
all that
podium.
is. Yeah, don't worry
Okay.
about that. Oh my.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I wouldn't. I wouldn't pick those. I wouldn't pick Haas to get into the points. Although they probably will just end up at the points. This seems like something that would
They're the
happen.
team
But
that has a point.
yeah, they just end up in the points here, man. That's what they do. They could. They could end up in
They
the
could.
points. Fucking mayhem, and they just end up there again.
Wasn't it? It was a Haas that it was Magnussen that hit the wall that caused all the mayhem last year late in
Yeah.
the race.
Yep.
Combo podium. We were about to look at that.
Yeah. Let's go combo podium. See if we see something that we like.
I mean, Lando starts there. Carlos and Lando no minus 600. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Carlos and Checo.
I kind of like that minus 163.
Kind of don't hate it.
I know that's kind of a great. Like we just take like the antithesis bet of what we've been looking at this whole time, where we just think if something happens, because you fade the guy who's had appendicitis and who's going to be fighting,
Yeah.
and then you get the fade Chaco, which you never know what's going to happen for the guy.
You never know what's going to
You
happen.
never know what's going to happen. Now,
Plus, because
what-
we're betting on Checo too, with the top two.
yeah, no, we're not going to.
They both win. Yeah, why wouldn't you?
I guess you could. Like that covers just. So this is you're just
That
saying,
literally, I think that's the perfect way to do it. This
Maybe
this
that is.
again comes down to you're picking Sainz versus Leclerc, but you have the small out that something happens to Checo.
So okay, I'm glad that you're coming. So I am. You're right. This is the right bet. So this is a minus 120 versus minus 120 bet that just becomes minus 163. You get 43 points of value just to see if Checo randomly comes out and fucks over another bet.
Right. Which we're going to be on, making it likely he fucks that over. But if he doesn't, then he finishes P2. And then worst case Ontario, Sainz finishes P3, but I don't know. Lando can still screw this over for Sainz.
Man, this is interesting. I'm interested
Because
in this
there's
for
no
sure.
way Lando and Sainz are both there. That's what they're saying. That's what we're saying. So if
Yeah.
Lando happens to be there, then this hits, right?
Yep.
We love this category.
We do love this guy. Like this is an interesting one.
And we specifically do seem to love it when Checo doesn't have a great qualifying or something
man,
happen and he's not starting on the
buddy,
podium. We get guys to just not keep their
Look,
position.
Go two down. Will Charles and Sergio. It's minus 225. Look at that.
So that's less. So more likely that
Shorter.
Carlos is there.
Yeah, it's shorter, right?
Right.
You're just like they can't help. At some point, they always like overplay their hand. The odds.
Yeah,
makers.
they're hedging themselves here.
We're finding it. We're finding it. Like they're overplaying their hand. They were even odds on a guy starting in second and a guy starting in fifth in a group matchup, and then now here they're like, well, there's a better chance that Leclerc gets on than Sainz. They're admitting it.
They are. No, yeah.
Yeah. It's minus 225. Oh no. I'm looking at it
the opposite.
Oops, my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry. No. Nope,
Yeah.
never mind. It just lines up with where.
But
you're
that's my
starting.
point. In elsewhere, we've seen them favor
True.
Leclerc,
fine.
and
You're
here they're
right.
favoring Sainz. Like
I
they are.
see.
You were right that I think they're hedging themselves here. This
They are
is
hedging
opposite
themselves.
from the trend we've seen.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
correct.
Max, no Charles. So do you go no Max, no Charles, or no Carlos and Checo?
No, because
I think you go Checo because all those reasons that Checo
Yeah.
can just be the one.
Yeah, I like the combination of being on him at plus money, but then having this little fade on him when really it's just a fade on Carlos.
When they can both still win.
When they can both still win. Ooh, this is an interesting way to do it.
Kind of spicy.
Yeah, but this is what this makes me feel better about going into, like, because then maybe it's
I don't think we need the one race leader.
that's what I'm saying, right? Then we get Oscar -175. This is -163,
And then we
then we
get
have
plus
plus
130 on
money on
Checo top
Checo,
two again.
right?
Are we dumb for going top two? We should just
No,
do P2.
no. Is it? No, it's not enough value. It's only like 8 points. That's why, right? It doesn't make any sense. If something happens to Max, you might as well
7
make sure
points.
you
Right.
cover
Okay.
yourself off,
Okay.
right? Like,
Right. Okay.
right. That's
Okay.
that's a
You're
smart
right.
bet.
We always say that, but he's finished 40 something races in a row.
No. But for 7 point, Chaps,
Right.
what are we doing?
No.
What are you talking
I know.
about?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
What do you
I
mean?
know. I
Like, it
know.
doesn't make any
I'm
sense.
with you. I'm with you.
I understand. If it was like if we're
But-
talking like 50 points, like yeah,
Right.
you're like all right, we're throwing away money essentially, right? But
Right.
it's just
Which
like it's
we've
7
done.
points.
We've moved 50 to 100 points in previous weeks, excuse me. Because we were worried,
Yeah.
what if something happens to Max? Like the guy's
Yeah.
finished 40 something races.
No, I know it's not. It's we probably have been too conservative in the past in that type of situation.
A little
But
bit.
this one doesn't
No.
make any sense though. Like
Right.
right. I mean, I kind of like where we've ended
I
up.
don't
Here.
mind those three.
Is there anything else that we? Like that might be the best combination of bets that we can. This whole time I've been concerned about Checo. Like he could just win us a bet if he goes out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you need. After having the disaster that we had last year at this fucking track, I kind of like a bit of safety.
A combo podium fade is a great, like almost, it doesn't matter who you take, like you're fading mayhem happening.
Yeah.
You have two guys that
yeah.
either one of them gets gobbled up in anything. Oh, your combo podium fade hits.
Man, I like that. I like that the conditions were like dialing in that understeer to the car that makes we've talked about this before. Like we actually one of the reasons that we took Sainz in Bahrain was because we knew that it was going to be a race that was dominated by understeer, and that was something that was going to be favorable to him over Leclerc.
Yep.
Right. And I like that the understeer that was dialed in because of the issues in activating the C5 are making it appear like he's got pace superiority over Leclerc. But if things normalize, which they very well could based on what the conditions are looking like for the race tomorrow, like you might see that advantage just erode completely, right? Plus the guy's dealing with the recovery from appendicitis and he hasn't had the same preparation.
That's one of the biggest factors for me. The unknown of just that the race distance and what that's going to do to him. Even if it costs you a tenth.
We're not actually fading him like that aggressively.
No.
I guess like the fade is like kind of like hedging the Checo bet, to be honest. But Lando could. I mean, maybe it does become a bit about managing tires, and Lando, like I said, I think he's got an advantage over everybody but Max up there. Maybe
he might.
Right, so maybe he does just like it wouldn't surprise me if Lando somehow gets on the podium. It wouldn't surprise me. It would surprise me, but it wouldn't be. It's not.
It would
impossible.
be. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
he's right there. Yeah, it's not impossible.
He's right there. Yeah, he's right there.
I mean, is there a chance that this ends Max, Carlos, Checo, doomsday for us? I don't think I see that happening. If Checo gets Charles, he's getting Carlos, right? And he's going to be in P2. And then at least we win that one.
I mean,
if it was Leclerc, I think you would feel very worried that it could be Max, Leclerc, Checo.
Yeah.
If Leclerc was starting P2 and then had that gap 4 spots to Checo, you'd probably see that happening. And I do like Sainz almost equally. I'm going to talk us out of all our bets now.
No, I don't.
It's most likely that Checo's P2 if he's on the podium.
In this whole conversation we've been having, not once have we really concerned ourselves with a podium that looks like Matt. Well, go look at it. Let's just like make ourselves feel better. Go look
like
at
a straight
tri-cast.
How far down the list is that?
And let's find out where that is.
Okay, well, most likely for them is involving our guys, but we would have Checo P2.
So
It
plus
is. It's
350
not
is
even that far off.
okay. Max
Make ourselves
Carlos,
feel better, he says. I don't think we did.
maybe not. But then are we seeing something that the book isn't seeing?
Opportunity.
Yeah,
You smell that? Opportunity.
I smell it.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, so hold on. Let's. They're still most confident that Checo's going to end up in P2.
Yeah.
Everything else reflects that. Like I think that that's going to happen, but then I do like the fact that if he doesn't end up in P2, he's going to end up in third. I guess is I'm like I can't see him ending up in third. I can see him either ending up in second or like having a disaster, right?
Right.
Right. And is it just do we just the most obvious thing is X? Is that like we have to go back to that? Like the most obvious thing is that they still have this. Well, let me go back and look at these numbers again. Like I just don't know. How is Carlos Sainz holding him off? I get the whole in Bahrain. They're like, oh, if X and Y and Z happened with Sainz, he would have been the gap to Checo. No, it was
No, the whole
the
thing there
gap is
is
the gap. Like
how long does it take Checo to start making moves? Because
yeah, but it doesn't.
you could see a race where it's like 14 laps and it's like Checo's still sitting back
No, but
there
that's
and
I
then
wouldn't
he
even.
engages and gets to the podium, but it's
That's
too little, too late.
no, but
But
I don't
again,
even
I don't
know.
think Carlos is running away with this race the way that Leclerc might. Well, how can I say that?
Like
I
if
think
I
I
if
still like the three we had.
I do, I don't want to talk ourselves out of it. Like if there's still like 2 tenths or 3 tenths up in race pace on Ferrari at this point, which I why would they not be, right? Like they still are.
Yeah,
How are you
couple
not?
tenths.
Yeah, and we've already talked about the fact that maybe there is a strategy disparity, discrepancy between Ferrari and Red Bull just because of what the Red Bull can do that no other car can do,
Sure, tire deg advantage goes
right?
to the Red Bull.
So then what it ends up what it ends up being, which we know it's going to end up being, is the 3, 4, and 5 cars after Checo starts to make his way up are fighting each other. And I
Yeah,
think that like anybody can come out of that group of Lando, Leclerc, and Sainz, right? Like I think that's kind of what we're admitting. Anybody can come out of it ultimately in the end.
yeah, yeah.
And I'm leaning into this. Like we saw it a certain way in Bahrain. We saw that there was the way that the track characteristics were laying out were just like favorable for Carlos. We liked how he looked over the weekend. Again, we liked this whole the understeer was coming back into you have to dial a little bit of understeer into the car because of the braking zones, because of how the Bahrain track. And now we're seeing it the opposite way, and we get the advantage of the grid being laid out that way.
Yeah.
Right? Like I guess
we get the advantage of Leclerc bailing on a lap.
that's what it is in the end, right? Like it
You're
ends up
right.
being
You're right. I almost forgot that he didn't, and the track evolved. Like
it did. Oh,
didn't both of them set their first time around was slower than Q2.
It was.
So like
Yeah.
his Q2 time plus it evolved like a tenth for everyone on the grid,
Yeah.
and that puts him P2 on the grid.
That puts him P2 on the grid. Like I don't think that there's a problem. I don't think he has a problem with his set. I think it was tricky and windy, and he just had
It's because
to.
I bet on him. So he's just
Well,
like I don't
it's
need
actually
to
you're
do
right.
another.
It actually is just as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
And if he just finishes where he was, it was a what is it minus 175 for him and Max to share the front row. I mean, if he just finishes where he's finishing, we're not
That's what it
getting
was.
like all of the value comes from Checo taking. We have to do this, man. And again, I think we have to do this. And then if it doesn't work out, then I'm happy with. We saw it a certain way, and it didn't work out. I mean, like I'm happy with that. Like we saw it a certain way, and it didn't work out. And then we just hope that Oscar is able to hold up his. Oscar just has to hold top at minus 175.
Just stay in.
Like this
position.
is everything in our window. Like
It
I
is.
think, right? And it's just the problem is it's the Australian Grand Prix, and that's why we're hesitant right now. That's exactly why. The fucking stupid Grand Prix.
I think it's very unlikely that Carlos holds Checo. if Checo gets there, and again, if Checo doesn't get there, then we win the combo podium fade. But
Yeah.
if Checo gets there, it is so much more likely that he finishes P2 than P3. If he's getting to the gearbox of signs, he's gonna get signs, right?
And I just
That's
don't know
what this
how he
comes
does
down
it.
to.
I don't know with the pace advantage that they have. I still think that some of these odds that we're seeing on the board are far too much a reflection of how much more time it took Red Bull to set the car up.
This
Right?
weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. They just didn't. They weren't slaughtering everybody by like 2 or 3 tenths in the practice sessions. And it was Sainz. It was Sainz who looked good because of the inherent traits of the C5 rubber. Right? So if he doesn't get those exact conditions again over the course of a race, never mind the fact that he's still dealing with the recovery. I don't know, man. I'm just like I think this is it, dude. If the guy just drives it to second place, good for him. That's amazing, right? Like I don't like good for him if he does.
Yeah. And then
that's amazing if he does.
Okay. And here we go. If Sainz has the pace to be in second place, then start fucking defending, Charles, because you got that same pace. So you do not let Checo past you.
Yeah, I agree.
Pull a Magnussen on us. Go get 10 seconds of penalties and get your teammate on that podium. And you do not let Checo on there.
But there's just no way that that's going to happen. They'll just end up
Checo's going to finish P2.
Yeah, because they'll fight each other, right? Like literally.
Okay, so I think we go with these three. Like I came into the Oscar to see if the lines had changed.
Yeah,
so we're still good on the lines.
I'm dialing it all up right now.
Now let's make sure the most risky here is that Sainz does hold on to P3 for me.
Yeah.
So let's make sure that we
got to cover
Checo top 2 covers that one off.
Okay, so hold on here. Combination podium finishes.
Yeah, definitely. Because if Checo's not top 2, then the combo podium hits.
If Checo's not top 2, then the combo podium hits because
so
we
Checo
still think
top 2 needs to cover our combo podium.
Yeah, something's happening to him, right?
Right.
And then it's top 2 finish at plus 130. Okay, so minus 175, minus 163, and plus 130.
In our windows.
It's all in the window, right? It's all in the window. There's a bit of incestuousness to it all, but we'll take it.
Sometimes you just need to hop in the studio on 2 hours of sleep.
Yeah, and just fucking grind it out, buddy.
Not good sleep in those 2 hours either. I got to tell you, Mike.
Well, I can imagine, right?
Yeah.
Restless.
Worth it, though. What a day. What a fun day.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at here, dude? Well, okay. Well, first of all, I mean, it's going to be hard for us not to just do 333, 334.
Did we do that last week?
We did.
Yeah, we have to do that, I think.
We have to just ride with it again, right?
So
who's getting the sprinkles on our boy?
Checo top 2. I'm still deciding until we lose. Checo top 2 gets the 34.
333, 333, 334. So Oscar to finish in the top 6 with minus 175 with 333 on it. Combination podium finish. Will Carlos and Checo finish on the podium? We're taking no. Minus 163, no. 333 on it. And then Checo to finish top 2, plus 130. That's the 334.
And the nature of it being plus money, so it obviously covers the other one.
Yeah. And that,
if it hits,
is 1,800. 1,829 is the total return. So 829.
829
profit. Potential
okay.
profit.
We're dialing it back a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't need to win $1,000 every week.
No, I agree. Okay, I'm placing them.
All right.
We're locked in, buddy.
When's the next race? Japan,
2 weeks.
2 weeks. I'm going on vacation. See you guys in 2 weeks in Japan. F1000. Like and subscribe.